we've reached the part of the podcast where we're talking some NASCAR. Who better to come on than my boy Brandon, aka Boston Boy 83. Brandon, how you doing today, my man?
Doing good, man. I figured you'd start off with the Celtics losing 2 in a row, but I appreciate you doing that too.
You know what? It's a long season. Playoff time's right around the corner. I mean, if my team was the best team in the NBA and has reached its cap and could only go down, I'd be a little worried. But you know what? I'm gonna let you have the moment.
I'll take that. I'll take that shot.
I'll let you have the moment, dude. Last week we had Reddick. Almost got it done. What should we take away from that race? Should we take away Kyle's performance and he dominated in that wind? Or should we take away, shit, dude, Reddick may F around and win this season?
I think you need to take away the performance by Larson. That was just dominating. Win every stage, lead 181 laps. Reddick's good at that track. That's why we had him, because you notice it came down to the end, right in that wall. And that's what we said in our podcast. We're like, we're going to take this guy because he rides the wall. And the biggest takeaway is, even going into this year, you cannot pass a car that takes the air away from you. And Reddick messed up with 3 laps to go. He went to the bottom, hoping Larson was going to block the top air. And Larson guessed it and went low, and it just opened that gap back up to half a second. And you can't suck up to cars like you used to. You remember back in the day? Hey, the draft, get behind them, suck up, go around them. When the air is taken away in these cars, you got to go where the other car is not. And when you're the leader, you're just driving in your mirror. So
no more slingshot Ricky Bobby, if you will. So we've shifted our attention to Phoenix. No Uncle Kev. This has been Uncle Kev's stomping ground the last couple years. I mean, like, since he started racing there. Interesting race. Interesting to see what your bets are. Let's kick it off. I have 5. I believe you have 4. So, you know what? I'm going to go first since I have one more than you. My first bet, I mentioned Uncle Kev. I am going with Josh Berry, top 10 finish at plus 275. He's driving in the Harvick race car, which has dominated this race the last 12 years. In that span, Harvick's worst finish in this car was 9th. 9th in 12 years. Berry did have a top 10 finish when he raced here last year when he was subbing in for Harvick. So he's got 1 top 10 finish. He's going into a car with a team that has dominated here, consistently putting in top 10s. I'm getting plus 275 on it. I'm going to take Josh Berry, top 10 at plus 275.
I like it. And if you're feeling froggy, people, Josh Berry for the wins, 80-1. That's just a long shot there. I'm going with the watermelon man himself, Ross Chastain, 10-1. History at this track, he runs well. Had a great race last week, had an issue on pit road. I just like last year, the man was consistent, ran up front. He likes this track. He's good here. 10-1 odds. His teammates already won a race, so what a better way for Trackhouse to be in week 4 and have both drivers in the champion or in the playoff. So I think you're going to see now that Suarez is in already, you're going to see a lot of extra effort put into the one car to try and get him in. So then you have both Trackhouse teams locked in before we even throw a quarter of the season. So 10-1 Ross Chastain.
I'm on Ross Chastain as well, 10-1. Look, ever since the next gen car came out, he has dominated here. This is his finishes. He won this race last year, then finished 24th, but he got in. There was some incident with him and Hamlin, which forced him back to the 24th position. Before that, 3rd and 2nd. So if we take out the Hamlin incident, he has finished 1st, 3rd, and 2nd, and we're getting 10-1. How can you not play Ross Chastain? Look, I agree with you 100%. We got to go Chastain here, 10-1.
All day. So since you had him as well, I'm going to go to the man that we relied on last week that finished number 2. I'm going with Reddick at 16-1. I think he's going to have a little fire in his ass. He was definitely pissed off after that race, not being able to get the win. Car ran well. He ran well. I expect him, outside of track history here, I expect him just to come back this week doing the same thing. So unless he gets caught up in something, he's going to be a top 5 car for sure. And after finishing second to Larson, being 16-1 at the next race, I'll take it.
I swear to God, Brandon and I did not talk before this, but I also Tyler Reddick 16-1. Look, I was looking at past results here, and it's kind of weird. In the spring, he finishes third here. Last 2 spring races, he's finished third. In the fall races, he finishes 22nd here. It's kind of weird how he always does good in the spring, struggles in the fall. Both races in Vegas, which is very similar to this track, he's ran second. I got to play him. You hit the nail on the head. Looked good. Was in a position to win. Kind of screwed up. We're getting 16-1 after second place finish. Was historically he's ran good here in the spring and on similar tracks. Tyler Reddick 16-1.
All right, I'm going back to my hometown boy. I'm going to go back and I'm going to preface that I'm going to hammer this guy every week while his odds are like this until something happens. But I'm going Elliott 18-1. He has won here. He's won a championship here. He's due. We did this a couple years ago with Blaney and it paid off for us. But 18-1 Chase Elliott. My concern is you look at last week, Larson had speed. Byron had a lot of speed. Bowman ran well. Elliott did not. So I don't think it has to do with the actual physical driving of the driver per se, but I just don't know where the lack of speed is in the 9 car. And I just don't see the Hendrick camp allowing that to happen week after week after week to where the power is not there or the speed. So I'm expecting one of these weeks at an 18-1 odd like this week at a track that he's won at to finally show some speed and get that win and cash that ticket. So Elliott 18-1.
I like it. And I do not have that as my third bet.
Thank God.
My third bet, I'm going to head-to-head, and I absolutely hate doing this, but I have to do it. Usually I'm not going to bet a guy and then also take him in a head-to-head, but one of the racers that I was looking to fade this week was Martin Truex. And the matchup that the books gave us is Ross Chastain against Martin Truex. Truex, 6th, 17th, 15th, 35 in the next gen car here. Average finish of 18.25. And in those time frames, he's only led 1 lap. Flip side, Chastain, I mentioned it before in the next gen car. 1st, 24th, 3rd, and 2nd, leading 158 laps. Average finish 7.5. That 24th finish was the incident he had with Hamlin. I'm not going to put much into that. I think Chastain, much better driver at this track than Truex, who's really struggled. So I'll take Chastain over Truex.
I'll hammer that with you. I like it. I'm going to go over to another Hendricks driver, Alex Bowman, 35-1. I like what I saw out of him last week. We've hit on Bowman the last couple of years at a 35-1, 40-1, and even a 60-1. And he's famous for having like a good race, showing performance, not really talked about, coming in the next week at a high odd like that. And here we are in that same situation that we found him before and cashed on him. No track history I've looked at, nothing with it. Just Bowman, performance well last week. Looking forward to a good finish this week. Odds are up to 35-1 in a Hendrick car. Bowman. That's all I got for you. If you're looking for statistics, don't have it for sure with that. But me and you have ran into this 2 years in a row. And we hit them both times. And I know it was 40-1. I think the other was like 55 or 60-1. And it came after a week after him showing a good performance. So I'm doing Bowman at 35-1.
I like it. My last one, another head-to-head. I am fading Denny Hamlin. Give me Willie Byron, Willie B, over Denny Hamlin. Hamlin has struggled here in the next-gen car. Finishes 13th, 8th, 23rd, and 8th, leading less than 15 laps in those 4 races. Flip side, Byron, the next-gen car, 4th, 1st, 6th, and 18th, led over 173 laps in the next gen car here. at Phoenix. So I'm going to take William Byron, who's off to a great year. He's ran race great in every race. So I'm going to keep riding that train. I'll take William Byron over Denny Hamlin.
I like that. And I just got one long shot. Noah Gragson, 100-1. 6th place finish. Looked really good. Had troubles early and went to the back and came back through the field to finish 6th. I talked about it in the opening segment of this year between us that you're going to see this man perform. He showed up last week, 3rd race of the season in a 6th place. While his odds are where they are at 100-1, I'm going to grab him as my weekly long shot.
Let me ask you this, dude. Who's going to win a race first this year? Him or Briscoe? Or just win a race?
I'm going to go with him because he's way more aggressive than Briscoe. When Briscoe wins a race, normally he just walks into it somehow. Whether it's a super speedway or something like that, like he walks into it. Noah's got that grit. Like he's got that cockiness, he's got that attitude, and he can back it up with performances. So I like that. He reminds me of like a really young Kyle Busch, but minus probably 30% of the talent, if that makes sense at that age.
Okay.
And I just think he resembles a lot of Tony Stewart with the attitude. And who's he raced for? Stuart Haas. So I see those guys gelling and working really well together. And there's nothing better to be able to work with somebody like a boss like that you can relate to and learn from.
Well, I was going to bring up the Prize Picks NASCAR stuff, but guess who doesn't have stuff up yet?
Prize Picks.
Prize Picks does not have everything up. So we are not going to be doing anything with Prize Picks this week. Maybe one of these days, Brandon and I will come on before a race, do a little Prize Picks action because North Carolina is going to be legal soon, guys, and that's where Brandon resides. So big day for Brandon, thanks for coming on. Why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media, my friend?
Boston Boy 83, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. There's a huge iRacing update on Tuesday of this week. So our actual race got postponed because there's a lot of errors, so we did not run. So we will be back next Tuesday at Phoenix. So hopefully I can learn some stuff and see what we can do.
Make sure to give my boy Brandon a follow, and we'll be back next week. And good luck in your bets, my friend.
Cash those tickets, guys.